till I reach the top somehow. My brethren kind and good, so I'll keep moving on. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow.
Yes, let me do that again. Time for me to say goodnight, St. Nevis. Time for me to say goodnight to the entire Caribbean region. My straight up family in the Kittitian and Division diaspora, I know you are all over the world. Some of you are in Africa, some of you are in Europe. There are a whole lot of you all over Asia, and plenty right here in North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning, and certainly I will say good afternoon. One of such greetings would be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. Your family.
So I'll keep moving on.
And for those of you who may be joining me for the first time, always happy first timers, I want to let you know that Straight Talk is a public service program. On the line, public service program. Reach and preach to the community. All issues of national interest, with the legal, with the environmental, with the technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let us in the process continue to keep St. Kitts and Nevis as the freest country, or one of the freest countries I should say, in the entire world. On this program we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patrice Liebert, and I give Almighty God thanks, blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation, my Straight Talk family, yet another occasion. And in our efforts of improvement, as I said to you last time around, the first time this time around, we have added 2 numbers to the existing numbers. Now, we have added 2 new numbers. For those on the local scene, try this number first of all, 663-6672. That's 663-6672. And those of you in the diaspora, 646-829-6672. So both end with 667. One is 663-6672 or 646-829-6672. You can access from overseas as well, 869-663-6672 and 646-829-6672. I give you these numbers. Make sure you take a note of them, because Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we entertain your calls, we entertain your emails as well. Those of you who like what I call the cloak of anonymity, you can access the program via zizstraighttalk@gmail.com. And here's what, those 2 numbers I gave you, That's the 646-829-6672 and or 869-63663-6672. Both have access to WhatsApp. You can call me direct, or you can call me via WhatsApp on any one of those two numbers. Leave it on. As your dog family, I again want to welcome you, bid you a very pleasant night wherever you are. And as usual on Straight Talk, we recognize, or we try to keep you updated with the COVID-19 situation in our country. And we are still looking well, we are still doing well as we can do in the circumstances. And again, no words of commendation, too many or too much, whichever is correct, for the NEOC, and in particular I call them the two medical generals, the chief medical officer and the medical chief of staff, in the persons of Dr. Hazel Laws and Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, respectively. But as of today, the confirmed cases in the last 24 hours are three cases, my Straight Talk family. 3 cases confirmed as of the last 24 hours. Our deaths still remain the same, thank God, 42 too many. But the statistics I like to really glare and stare at are the vaccine roll-up and roll-out statistics, which tells us that we have now reached 82.8% of the targeted population. That's 82.8% of the targeted population. That's 83% to be exact, and or 77.6. That's 83% of the first doses. I like to refer to them as, and 78% of the second doses. So not doing badly at all, my Straight Talk family, and we ought to commend all those who are involved. We ought to commend those in the leadership positions and those who have, as I said, been leading the fight against this COVID-19 pandemic. Normally, as well, we include our observations in review. It's that time of the program when we do some reflection and establish what was accomplished, how it has helped others, what has changed since, what can be expected next, and what new we have learned as a people. Now, Straight Talk can report that last week, Thursday, the 10th of March, going to the region, the High Court denied permission for a judicial review of the COVID-19 mandate in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But the case of workers who were fired for not being vaccinated will still be considered by the court. And this was the ruling of Justice Esco Henry, who said that the court should hear the case by former government workers who were dismissed for abandoning their posts, even though the law under which they were fired deemed them as absent if they attended work while being unvaccinated against COVID-19. They were former primary school teachers, a former senior customs officer, a former assistant supervisor employed with customs and excise, a former station sergeant within the police force, and a former corporal as well of the police force, who all brought the lawsuit against the government. The judge gave permission for the court to review the legality of the Minister of Health's decision to make Rule 8(1) and 2 of SRNO number 28 of 202, commonly referred to as the vaccine mandate. Regulation 1 provides that an unvaccinated employee must not enter the workplace and is to be treated as being absent. According to the rule, absent from duty, to be exact, duty without leave. And recall, my Straight Talk family, there were many protests in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it got so bad, if I can use the term, that someone even injured Prime Minister Gonzalez. Someone even injured Prime Minister Gonzalez, who was struck in the head with a rock.
The person who threw the object at me, the projectile, that it hit me in my head, at the top of the head. It could easily have come, as the doctors tell me, lower down to the temple, and where there could have been immediately far more serious damage. When you throw a stone or some other projectile at someone with the intention to hit them in their head, and given the delicate nature of one's head, you have in mind the intention to kill. You have the intention to cause serious bodily harm.
And that was Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez, who was injured in that protest there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as it relates to that country's vaccine mandate. But we'll be following those cases, or that particular case in St. Vincent that has been taken to the court. In St. Kitts, we know that some workers from a few establishments as well were terminated because of their unvaccinated status. But Straight Talk will continue to follow this interesting development in the OECS sub-region. And like I said, call that workers in St. Kitts and Nevis, albeit in the private sector, were terminated as well because of their unvaccinated status. Now today, as we continue our observation review, makes 3 weeks since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and things have gotten worse for civilians. So sad when we look at the TV images. According to Pope Francis, who has called for a ceasefire and peace negotiations, rivers of blood and tears are flowing in Ukraine. We hear on Straight Talk pray for a cessation of all these hostilities and an avoidance, I should say, of a third world war. Our hearts and prayers are with the peoples of Ukraine, my Straight Talk family. Our final observation focuses on the upcoming People's Labour Party convention to be held on Saturday, 26th March. That's not this Saturday coming, but the following one, under the theme, Delivering for the People. The party held a press conference yesterday that provided much insight into the convention, and reporters used the opportunity to ask questions about the future of this dynamic and progressive People's Labour Party. Those are the latest observations in review, and Straight Talk will keep you posted on these and other stories as they develop. Our main discussion tonight, however, will be on the much talked about Charlestown Accord, which is an agreement that was made on the 17th day of December 2014 between three political parties, namely the People's Action Movement, PAM, the People's Labour Party, PLP, and the Concerned Citizens Movement, CCM. The agreement was signed and delivered at Charlestown by the parties through their leaders and authorized representatives. With federal elections imminent, back then, these three parties entered into an historic alliance referred to as Team Unity, with the declared intention of combining their respective seats in the federal parliament to form the next government of St. Kitts and Nevis. As a point of departure, the three parties cited the historic inequalities in the distribution and sharing of national resources between the peoples of St. Kitts and the peoples of Nevis. It is in this context that I wish to focus tonight, my Straight Dog family, because the Federation is being bombarded by or with unreasonable arguments or debates regarding the fair and equitable share of national resources for Nevis based on a pro rata population basis to ensure that Nevisians benefit fairly from returns on national investments. And this was a salient point of departure because national resources are the most important and influential set of assets owned by a nation or a country. In the case of St. Kitts and Nevis, and in the context of the Charlestown Accord, I believe, it refers to resources that are of commercial importance. Now, given that backdrop, I ask, what are the resources of St. Kitts and Nevis? We don't have oil, we don't have bauxite, we don't have gold, we don't have diamonds. Then what resources do we have? Think about it. All we have really is arable land. Someone asked me, going to the ridiculous, should our land be therefore allocated amongst the two islands on a pro rata basis? Now, getting back to the Charlestown Accord, the preamble of this agreement, meaning the introductory paragraph, identifies the parties to the agreement, and it is followed by paragraphs known as recitals, also called the background section, that are labeled, for example, whereas. It is my opinion that the preamble or the introductory statement describes or outlines the reason for the remaining portion of the agreement. And this was advanced as the reasons for the Charlestown Accord and, in fact, the commitments that were made by Straight Dog family.
And whereas Team Unity believes that the people unity to end victimization against the people. 2. Deserve a federal government that will fight for all Kittitians and divisions. 3. Deserve a federal government that will put the people of St. Kitts and Nevis first. 4. Deserve a federal government committed to the restoration of law and order and the supremacy of the rule of law. 5. Deserve a federal government that will respect the Nevis Island administration and cooperate fully with the Nevis Island administration, whatever its political composition. 6. Deserve a federal government that understands the history of St. Kitts and Nevis and is committed to change the situation of acrimony and strife and genuinely represent all the people, regardless of the island of their birth. 7. Deserve a federal government that recognizes that when Nevis succeeds, and St. Kitts succeeds, the entire nation succeeds. 8, dissolve a federal government which will restore adherence to the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes, my straight up family, and those, yes, my straight up family, those were the commitments therein, that agreement. How did Team Unity perform with respect to those commitments that were just outlined? And let's tick the boxes. 1. A federal government of national unity to end victimization against the people. Tick, you can say yes. A federal government that will fight for all petitions and divisions. Tick that as well. A federal government that will put the people of St. Kitts and Nevis first. Tick that as well. A federal government committed to the restoration of law and order and the supremacy of the rule of law. Tick that as well. A federal government that will respect the Nevis Island administration and cooperate fully with the Nevis Island administration, whatever its political composition. We know of the present composition. Tick that as well, my straight dog family. A federal government that understands the history of St. Kitts and Nevis and is committed to change the situation of acrimony and strife and genuinely represent all of the people regardless of the island of their birth. Yes, we can tick that one as well. A federal government that recognizes that when Nevis succeeds and St. Kitts succeeds, the entire nation succeeds. Yes, tick. We can tick that one as well. A federal government which will restore adherence to the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis. I leave that for your view. That has to be blank. I am somewhat weary to tick that one right now. But the accord, no matter what we say, my straight dog family, is not a legally binding document. The Prime Minister has no exclusive executive power under the Constitution, except perhaps to appoint ministers. And he is under no legal compulsion to go along with anything which is written in that agreement. And that is fact. But as a former member of the executive myself, I understood that the Prime Minister would have been accused of lying to get into office, as is happening now, if after Team Unity won the elections, he did not honor his statement or pledge by signing the Charlestown Accord. The very agreement states that Team Unity believes that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis deserve a federal government which will restore adherence to the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis. But one of the greatest lies that is being peddled by using a legal argument that the Constitution only speaks to the allocation of tax revenue. The second follow-up lie is this one: a treaty, an agreement, or a promise once made cannot be set aside. Well, I am not a lawyer, but my humble opinion is A, the Charlestown Accord, a treaty, or a promise does not override the St. Kitts Nevis Constitution, and B, the Charlestown Accord, a treaty, or a promise cannot amend the Constitution on its own. In more recent times, I have heard spurious or bogus arguments that seek to replace the CBI receipts, or seeks to place, I should say, CBI receipts outside the parameters of our Constitution by conveniently trying to claim that Section 110 refers to tax revenue. I've heard that argument, my straight dog family, and it's coming from many different quarters, even this one.
Everybody now remembers that the Constitution talks about an 80-20 split. That's what they say. 80-20. And people are now talking about what the Constitution says. You know, that's interesting. Because we all knew what the Constitution said when the Charlestown Accord was signed. And the Constitution speaks to tax revenue. The Charlestown Accord specifically speaks to CBI inflows. That was what the Charlestown Accord spoke to. So all of a sudden now you have some who want to graft the Constitution onto that to say some of the Charlestown Accord is not important. Let us focus on the Constitution, because they feel that under the Constitution, oh, you got to take out for national security, you got to take out for this, you got to take out for that before Nevis gets a share.
My straight dog family, this argument, as legal as it may sound, and even before I advance that opinion, I opine that a position that places the CBI receipts outside the parameters of our Constitution borders on the ridiculous. It nearly borders on absurdity, and I'll tell you why. The word tax revenue in the Constitution does not mean that it excludes non-tax revenue, of which the CBI is one type of revenue. Tax on passports, for example. Governments all over the world, inclusive of the Team Unity government, makes revenue on the provision of social services. In St. Kitts, government makes revenue from the supply of water, for example. But as I said, the argument, as legal as it may sound, demonstrates a myopic attitude towards the way a government functions, because public revenue, which is precisely the revenue obtained from government's sources to meet public spending requirements. So public revenue or government revenue is derived from tax revenue and non-tax revenue. And this goes into a consolidated fund as stipulated by the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear. Chapter 6 of the Constitution, as it relates to the consolidated fund, states, and I quote under section 69, all, underline, all revenue or other monies raised or received by the government, not being the revenues or other monies that are payable by or under any law into some other fund of the government established for a specific purpose, shall, underline shall, be paid into and form a consolidated fund. It continues, and it speaks to withdrawals from the consolidated fund or other public funds. Under section 70 says, no money shall be withdrawn from the consolidated fund except to meet expenditure that is charged upon the fund by the Constitution or by any law made in pursuance of section 72. B, where this issue of those monies has been authorized by an appropriation law or by a law made in pursuance of section 72. And here again, it speaks to authorization of expenditure from the consolidated fund by the appropriation law. And we know, we go to Parliament every December because the expenditure, the government, whichever government, it needs the authority of the parliament to spend the people money. You just can't take up money and spend it like that. You think in a bar shop? No, in a government. And the government is guided and ruled and governed by the supreme law of the land. Under section 71, it reads, and I quote, "The minister, for the time being responsible for finance, shall cause to be prepared and laid before the National Assembly before or not later than 60 days after the commencement of each financial year estimates of the revenues and expenditure of the government of that financial year." And everybody who served in government or is serving in government must know that, because the cabinet, which is the estimates committee, meets annually to look at the expenditure and the revenues to be collected by government and approves them ministry by ministry, head by head, before they are printed into a document called budget estimates to be laid on the table of parliament by the Minister of Finance. And it speaks to warrants for unforeseen expenditure. And it says under section 73, if it appears to the minister for the time being responsible for finance that there is an urgent need to incur expenditure, no provision exists for that expenditure in any appropriation law or other law, and it would not be in the public interest to delay the authorization of that expenditure until such time as a supplementary estimate can be laid before the National Assembly. The minister may, by special warrant, authorize the issue from the consolidated fund of money required to meet that expenditure. How can somebody sit in a cabinet? How can somebody go to parliament, approve estimates, or approve or pass the appropriation law and approve expenditure? Because you need the authority of the cabinet to spend the people money. How can you come a month after and ask for, you had, I think, was 90 something million, what am I saying, over $900 million. One sitting cabinet and an estimates committee. Then comes 1 month after, getting approval to spend over $900 million and asks for $21 million for Nevis. That is not how a government works. A government don't work that way. You have to get authority to spend the people's money. It's not your money, it's not my money. You're not in a bar shop, you're in a government. And if you don't get that money, all of a sudden, the leadership becomes an uncaring one. Because the leadership was always a caring leadership, my straight dog family. Always a caring leadership. But if you don't get that money, the leadership becomes an uncaring one. And that, to me, is sad. Sad, 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 my straight dog family.
It's not just talk. When I look at what the SIDF that has now been made available to Nevis and the federal government under the caring leadership of Dr. Timothy Harris has done, I say that in less than 2 years, the people of Nevis have been the direct beneficiaries of some $113.36 million. I don't know how $100 million look. I never see it yet.
Imagine that. Caring leadership of Timothy Harris. But what has gone wrong? You know, it was Charles Dudley Warner who once said, politics makes strange bedfellows. And I believe it means that political interests bring together people who otherwise have little or nothing in common. And everyone is asking the question when we listen and see what's going on in St. Kitts and Nevis, my beloved country. Everyone is asking what has gone wrong. We asked for an opportunity, and according to this testimony, we were well on the way, my Straight Talk family.
When we in Nevis said to the electorate, give us an opportunity to join with the People's Labour Party and to join with the People's Action Movement in this historic idea called unity, because that's what it was. It was an idea that we asked the people to invest in. We are seeing tangible progress in our country, a coming together like we have never seen in the affairs of St. Kitts and Nevis. Because for too long the people of Nevis have said that we have been left out, and we see projects and development happening in St. Kitts and nothing on Nevis, when those projects and development were being funded by what we thought was money that should properly be shared. And so when we say fair share for all, we mean each and every citizen in this country must have a fair access to the resources of the country. And I'm proud to say that with unity, we are well on the way to achieving that.
Well on the way. Well on the way. What has gone wrong? My Straight Talk family, for many decades, our economy has been under attack from climate change, and more recently by the COVID-19 pandemic that brought the entire world to a screeching halt. As we speak, the international community is tottering on the brink of a third world war, God forbid. And every country near and far are calling for leadership they can count on. When we examine the performance of our current leader, our Prime Minister, who successfully tackled our public debt, successfully tackled the scourge of crime, and successfully managed and continues to manage our fight against COVID-19. Without fear of contradiction, I therefore submit that in this season of complexity, in this season of uncertainty, in this season of complexity that continues to expose the fragility of our economy, we are fortunate to have a leader that we can count on. A leadership and a party that made the weak strong, my Straight Talk family. We ought to be proud of that as well, my Straight Talk family.
Canvassers, indoor agents, outdoor agents, you were there. Because we believe in unity, we use all of our resources to advance the cause of unity. And where others were weak, we made them strong. Where they were weak, we made them strong. Because we believed in unity.
Yes, we still believe in unity. The majority of our country, I know, believe in unity. So my Straight Talk family, we do have a leadership as well that is concentrating on the job at hand. In spite of what has been peddled, we do have a leadership that is concentrating on the job at hand. And this clarification was advanced just yesterday, my Straight Talk family.
The question of pushing for a third term, I'm not sure why this is even in a conversation. We have just come out of an election. We are still working our way through the pandemic. And every person involved in decision making ought to be focused on one thing at this point in time: the future of our people, keeping them safe, keeping them strong, putting the country back to work again so our farmers can earn more, our fisher folks can live and feed their family. That is what our attention should be on. Elections are not due till 2025. I don't even know what will happen tomorrow, even tonight. And we are focused on a political agenda when the focus really should be on the people. And my view on that had been made abundantly clear time and time again. Time and time again. And I've never said anything contrary to what the statements have made publicly. So there is no need for a conversation about third term. I have never spoken on a third term. There is no record anywhere about Timothy Harris speaking on a third term. And I therefore will have nothing to say about it, because I am concerned about utilizing the opportunity that God has given me for such a time like these to lead us safely and properly for such a time like these. And so I'm not caught up with that. Other persons are free to express their view on that. My view has been spoken, and I have not altered that view. Have not.
Well, that clarification, straight up family, is all that we ought to need. But no matter what some may say, I conclude that the Charlestown Accord has been and continues to be a plus for the people of Nevis and for your team unity government. That's my story for tonight, and I am not going to change it. I'm going to entertain your calls and your emails, because Straight Talk is about you, the people. Remember, I always implore you to respect others. And to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us as well ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of doing and or saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. Now we have 4 telephone lines available to you. Theo, I want you to send those calls when I say I go to ZIZ. Please don't send them until you get that cue. Go to ZIZ. But I'll open the lines. There are 4 lines. There are 2 lines, 2 additional lines, 869-663-6672 and 646-829-6672. Both end with the same 4 digits. Those numbers, you can access them directly or you can access them via WhatsApp. So I'm going to open the lines, my Straight Talk family, and I'll entertain your calls and your emails. I go to the lines. Caller, you're live. Yes, caller.
Good.
Yes, caller.
Good night.
Yes, caller. Yes, you're live. Yes, you're live.
And how are you?
Charges.
Yes. Now I want to
right?
You can hear me, right?
And it seems to be a very common misunderstanding. You're talking about the Constitution. Mark is talking about the Charlestown Accord. The Constitution says one thing. But when unity was formed and is decided to make certain changes, the problem is that they agreed on something, and eventually the agreement is not part of the Constitution. So you're all both right. So what should have happened is after unity got in government, you always supposed to revisit the Constitution and made the adjustments. Mark is right, Timothy is right. Nobody's wrong. They need not to be going back and forth.
Can I say something to you, Colonel?
Hello?
Can I say something to you?
Yes.
As part of the agreement you referred to, I read it earlier. One of eight commitments says that the federal government will restore adherence to the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis. And while I take your point, and I'm a lawyer, like I said before, no agreement, no treaty, or no promise can override any constitution, can supersede a constitution. And yes, you're right, we have to get it right. And apart from that, I think I made the point as well that you just don't take up people's money and spend it. You have to get approval from Parliament to spend the money. And the budget speaks to that. In the private sector, we do what we call operational reports. And if you overspend, and their monthly reports, if you overspend, and they give you a variance, and sometimes some companies are higher, some are lower, 5%. If you spend over 5%, then you have to account for it. If you collect less than 5%, or 5% less. So these are issues. Yes.
I understand what you're saying, right?
Yes.
What I'm trying to say to you, right? And I hope Mark is listening to this, because I'm very disappointed in him. This is 6 years of unity. It take Mark too long to get out of kindergarten to realize that you need to pass this into law. And Mark is a lawyer, right? I keep saying to you that you all are arguing two different points. One is a verbal promise between two parties. The other one is a legal party. Is the law of the land. And what is happening is creating chaos. Right? And you all need to sit down there. Everybody's grown. Not 6 years of unity, and then somebody say they're getting shot.
Okay, I think I got your point.
Listen, both parties, all three parties knew that it wasn't the Charlestown or Nevis Accord was not part of law. But you all made a promise to each other. So then, when unity got into power, it was supposed to be made law. It's the same nonsense that we have. We don't ever address the Integrity Act in public office because nobody wants to touch it. Everybody talk about it when they're out of office. When they get into office, not a soul touch it. So deal with that and straighten out everything and stop the confusion. And stop putting people against people, running everybody into chaos. Straighten out the system. One-on-one, some says 11. But always know 1 plus 1 is always 2. Okay? And try, please. I don't beg you, please. Right? Vote. All our talk shows. Stop trying to take sides and making yourself right. Educate the people. And the other thing I want to tell you all about. This peace thing. You don't pay criminals to keep peace. You put them in jail. Taxpayers money can't pray for peace. Taxpayers' money is supposed to be for their own protection. Okay? Deal with those issues. Hire more police, pay them properly, and let them keep the peace. Good night.
Yes, caller. Good night. Thank you for your input. We go back to lines. I go to Zadaizad. Theo?
Yes, good afternoon. Good evening.
I'll take that call from Zadaizad. Call you live.
Yes. Mr. Leiberg, thank you for this exposition this evening. And I must say that I am very happy that the Prime Minister yesterday at the press conference, he gave an explanation about the Charlestown Accord. Well, I don't know about so much of Charlestown Accord, the division of revenues between St. Kitts and Nevis. And I'm glad that he explained it, because now that this thing has come out into the public, we need to hear something clearer. Now, in my view, and this is a personal view, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm certainly not without a certain amount of intelligence. And I cannot see how an accord or an agreement between two parties prior to an election, when they come in, I mean, they're using that between themselves to, come together and win the election, that it is supposed to cause the Constitution to be changed. We the people, we don't have any say in that. And you just do up this thing between two parties. What about the other parties? What about the other concerns? So as far as I'm concerned, that is between two parties. Let them, what do you call it? Get it clear between themselves. That's between two parties. That's not between the government. That's number one. And in a way, it's good that the CBI is coming under threat right now. And it will probably highlight some of these problems that we're having now, or cause them to think in a different way, use our heads to generate revenues in other ways. Because here they're fighting over these funds. Now, the Prime Minister explained, and you, Mr. Leiberg, went on to clarify some very important things. And I think it is good that the Prime Minister is a finance person. When it comes to the finance, I think he's doing a pretty good job, quite frankly. And I don't think many others could have done it as well at this point in time. And he has explained, you explained a few things as well, in terms of the Constitution area 110, that provision there, which indicates you have to net out things. It's not a matter of revenues coming in and everybody one side get a certain percentage. It specifies you have to net out costs, and the Prime Minister went into detail about that yesterday. The cost of doing this, any expenses, what have you. Just like a business, you run a business, you get revenues, and then you have expenses. You have to net it out before you begin to distribute the dividends. You have to work that out. And then the ratio of the islands, one island, the Nevis Island administration generates its own revenues as a Nevis Island administration. Then the federal government, because St. Kitts is not a separate entity, it has to kind of distribute that between St. Kitts and Nevis again. So all of these things have to be taken into account. But it is good that you have this, you could say, friction, so that it highlights some of the dangers. And again, as I said, the Charlestown Accord cannot supersede the Constitution. And I hope that the Prime Minister and we the people bear that in mind as we move forward if there's another general election anytime soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. I'll take one from you, caller. You live.
Thank you very much, Brother Patrick. Having listened that you said and what everyone said, what Yes. And what everyone said. The Prime Minister, Mark Bradley said,
please turn it off. It's affecting the quality of your call.
Let me just turn this down. Sorry. Okay. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, call. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, call. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me reiterate again. In respect to all that had been said and what had been done in respect to the funds that was distributed to Nevis under the receiving out to Mark Brantley, is there an account that Mark Brantley used the money for what it was said to be used at, or the money is still sitting there in a sleep mode? Because I personally had a look at Nevis from since 2019 up until last week Thursday when I left. I'm still close by. I haven't seen anything done with $133 million. I mean, I said $20 million in my comment last week, as a matter of fact, Monday. But Nevis does not look like $50 million of upgrade in any shape or form. So where is that money? What are the accountable? Where are the bill of particles to reflect that $133 million was given and still asking for more? Where are that money? Does that money spent on the divisions, or is it in some kind of vault somewhere? Well, I need to know where that vault is. So that is the question I have, because too much money flying around and there are no kind of improvement for that. Nevis look like a ghost town with $75 million. The country should have looking better. And it's a shame on all these people who are pocketing the damn money. And I, for one, is a Nevision and a Kittitian. I need to know where that money. We need transparency. We need bill of particles. No one man run the show. It is everyone. The money belongs to every Nevision since he gone over to Nevis. And what is in Senkis belongs to every Kittitian. It's not just one man. It's not just one man run the show. It is everybody run the show. In whom we trust, they should be given accountable for what has been done with that money. And it's a shame, because I'm not ashamed to say there are too much thieves in the pulpit. There are too much pimps in the pulpit. And it's about time to weed all of them out. I have a point for all the politicians. But I will come back. I will yield to other people to come in. I hope I get in again. Thank you for that time. We're being accountable for those monies. This is not a bunch of people sitting down and think the money belongs to them for share. This is our money. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for your input. Thanks for your input, caller. We go straight back to ZIZ caller. You're live.
Good night, Mr. Liebert. How are you? Good night.
I am peaceful. Peaceful yourself. I am peaceful yourself.
Oh, you're giving God thanks, man. I'm listening to all the debacle. Now, let me begin by, I was surprised you made the comment that the accord was not binding. It would therefore mean that when people signed it, they had no intention of keeping it. That comment you made, I suggest that. Because if you went in...
No, I said it doesn't supersede any constitution. Any constitution, our constitution.
So when it was signed, did all the parties know that? Because it to me sounds a kind of crooked to come now and say, well, oh, right? Now that's one. Now, the issue of tax and now non-tax. Well, in my job, I used to do what is called the economic analysis of the government accounts. And if you look in the estimates, you will see what is classified as tax. The CBI money goes under other revenue, which includes the sale of land, fees, fines, and forfeiture. Those are not taxes. Let me say it again. They actually call non-tax revenue. Now, the issue about when to get the money, the reconciliation, if you want to call it so, it's done at the end of the year, you know. So it was possible to give Nevis the money, because remember, it is done at the end of the day when they make the different charges, what you call common services, right? Just as the Prime Minister said, common services plus the tax. Because it's bookkeeping you're doing. You're doing bookkeeping. There have been years when Nevis owed St. Kitts, and there have been years when St. Kitts owed Nevis after they have done the calculation. So it is not, they cannot get it now. They can be given the money because, as I say, the reconciliation is done at the end of the year. So if they want to, they could. And there's a lot of noise people making. I mean, we got to learn, you see, we like strife over peace. And to suggest that the Prime Minister said he did not say so, which is true, but elements have been on this same show, pushing the issue, and some of them gone as far to fight PAM and Labour and PLP, fighting over the issue, and nobody is trying to stop it. I've had people on this show, you know, making it an issue. Now you could suggest it that he did very well, and you would mind him. But when it becomes an affirmative action, or he has to be, it's a different story. And we're so accustomed to war one another. We don't think. Because who will it benefit? The only people stand to benefit right now is the Labour Party, you know. But maybe we don't see it. PLP can't win it. PAM can't win it. Now the CCM. When we decide to war each other. And as somebody said, nobody got to ask some of these people here to make peace. In fact, they may not even realize that they're being goaded on by outside forces. I keep saying it on the radio, just like how they do in the USA. People who are not even related stir up our people, put us to fight. The man said he got to take 2 terms. He did not say he's not going to run again. All of us born to die. Any one of the 3 could die suddenly, you know. Then what happened to the country? I am interested in progress and peace. And it's fanning the flames. All of the parties fanning the flames. You know, so to me, there must be trust. Nobody come tell me about, oh, no, we cannot supersede it. Then that is deception. If you come to borrow my money, and because a contract, you know, in case somebody don't know, once you put your signatures there, it becomes a contract. And it can be challenged in court, in case some people don't know. It can be challenged in court, because signatures on it, it says, I agree. It may not have monetary term, but it is a contract that was signed. And we must not overlook it. I like Dr. Harris. I like all of them, But putting this idea in your head that, oh, well, it's not illegally, but illegally binding, only because nobody wanted to challenge it in court. It can be challenged. And when they got together and signing it, all of us were happy that at least it was there. Now to come and minimize it and make it have no card, I think is bad, poor taste. And all of us are you, not you personally, all of our people who are glorying in the fight. Some of them waiting for when PLP won't come to fight back. All the Labour Party doing is sitting down in the shade. You know, like those stories in the Bible? When Jehoshaphat went out, while they're singing praises, the enemy was fighting themselves. And by the time he reached down there, they were dead. The Lord set ambush. ambushed them, and he didn't have to fight for them. So you're putting the Labour Party in a position where they don't even have to fight to get in. When we continue this argument and debate, the Labour Party, they don't even have to go out and canvass. Just wait until PLP, CCM, and PAM devour each other. So I want to talk to our people. We don't realize what we're doing. You want unity, or you don't want unity. There should be some kind of reconciliation. Some interested party should get the three parties together and try and have reconciliation, because nobody wins. Nobody is winning right now.
Okay.
Now, I don't know. My good friend Willa said she's glad for what happened to the CBI. Willa's the economist, you know. How on God earth can you be glad when other nations imposing their will upon us? Imposition, you know. They have no respect for our sovereignty. That's what it is. Can the matter be taken to the UN? Have you investigated it?
The UN has the rule in that.
Huh?
That's a matter. That's a sovereign.
They're imposing themselves on us, saying so. You don't see it like that.
But they are sovereign countries.
Well, so are we. We are independent and are sovereign. So who gave them the power to tell us what to do? All right, you say you have a concern about the Russians. We say, all right, we will not sell them anymore. But they don't come tell us we got to shut it down. We are not their colonies.
They're telling you they won't accept your passports.
Huh?
The Canadian government.
All of them acting like their colonies. You ain't get it yet? All of these larger countries acting as if the smaller islands are their colonies still. So they could tell us, oh, well, you can't do this. You could trade with. I mean, really. I beg our people, pray for our country. Pray for the country. Stop the infighting. You stand to lose everything. You gain on one end and you lose the whole thing. All right, have a good evening, everybody.
It's a lot for your input,
right,
Sister Sylvine. And just for clarity, is the fact that what was stated, and you would know certainly that every government has to get the authority to spend people's money. It's not the government's money, right? You also know that all revenue, it says underline all revenue or other monies raised or received by the government shall be paid into and form a consolidated fund. It stipulates how withdrawals are come from that consolidated fund. And really to say that if you budget, you go into estimates and you budget $1 and you come on that's in December to spend for the ensuing fiscal year, and you're gonna come January and you said you want another $1. That's not how people budget. You're part of an estimates committee, you're part of a cabinet, you're part of a government, and it has to be done properly. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I want to thank you for holding. You are live.
Hello?
Yes, live caller. Live caller.
Hello?
Yes, caller, you're live. Yes, caller, you're live.
Yes, well, thank you. To get back briefly here, I'm reminded of that part in the Bible where the Pharisee and the publican went up to pray. And the Pharisee beat his chest, said how great I am, how, I do everything good, I think but people over there are bad. The Lord looked at the other one was the publican, but the publican was humble and prayed and asked for forgiveness. We have to always be very careful when we attribute to ourselves all the goodness, all the knowledge, and all the correctness of what we are saying. We can give suggestions and we can give views, but those are sometimes opinions, not even facts. So I'm going to say this again, two things, and I'm just going to repeat something that you said. And it's clear. No agreement can supersede the Constitution, not even when Robert tried to nationalize the land. You have to go, that is the supreme law of our land. Two parties or three parties doing their thing before an election, and not even this recent election, but election before. You don't know who will be coming in. You don't know who will be the representatives. And tying themselves up. That doesn't work. And as I said, it's good that the Constitution and this section is not just about, it talks about the economics and the finance. And then you get it clearer as to what is involved. And yes, I think God send that there is fiction about the CBI, because we need to not be harassing ourselves about who should get what and whatever. And yes, I must commend his, but they can take it to the courts and see what the court says, but it can't supersede. And last point on this is that, so if the three parties disband themselves and Labour is the largest voting bloc in St. Kitts. So why couldn't it come back into power? This is a key that if the three goes out, we just have to hope and pray, Lord, to send the right leadership. Whichever party it is. You had the PAM NRP, then you had the Labour NRP, and all these coalitions, and then you had PAM, CCM, PLP. Next time it could be the Labour, PLP, and whatever other party, one or two, to be the next team unity. Why should we reject that? Thank you.
Very much. We go caller. We go right back to the lines. Right back to the lines. Caller, you are live. Okay, we lost that caller. It's now 18 past 9 o'clock hour. We're discussing the Charlestown Accord. We go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Are you caller? Okay, we're having some difficulty with those lines. Remember, you do have some other numbers, 663-6672 and 646-829-6672 as well. But there's another local number, 869-663-6672. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live.
Good evening, Patrice. How are you?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Okay, I'm good, and I know you're good too. Now, I hear listening to the program as usual, and I agree with you what you read out tonight, and the last caller, the lady, who said that nothing supersedes the Constitution. The Constitution is the head of the land. Everything in the country has to abide by what the Constitution said. So I agree with what you read out and what the lady said, what the lady concluded on. And as usual, when a budget is being made, it is being made before the new year starts. So whatsoever they all agree and sign on when the budget has been presented, well, you have to wait until further down in the year. You can't just come 3 minutes after the budget and come say, well, you want this or want that. When you had an opportunity when the budget was being presented to bring forth what you have and what you would need money to do. But I will tell you something, and everybody knows it. Just like how Miss Henry said, while one party in the Bible was fussing and fighting against another, the enemies were there coming in, taking the land. Because while they want to distract the government and the business that the government has to do. So therefore they're coming with all kind of tricks around the place to distract the Prime Minister from leading the country in the right way. So that by the time they get him distracted, then the enemy come in and take it. The Prime Minister is running the country good, he knows what he's doing. And I like what he said. I have heard him. He never said he wanted not 3 term. Never. He said he will work with the Deputy Prime Minister. And when his term is ended, he will recuse himself and let the Deputy Prime Minister take over. That is what he said. So all he talking about he want 3 term and going on and saying about there is not 3rd Timothy. Not 3rd Timothy. There is a Timothy after Revelation which says, do not blaspheme against the Holy Bible. That's what the 3rd Timothy says. And the 3rd Timothy begins with chapter 0, verse 0. Respect God's word. God is a jealous God. And his word is as sharp as any two-edged sword. So nobody use the Bible, swear to the Bible, and come with all your foolishness. Let us respect the Bible and respect the constitution of the land. That is, I ain't going to further with that, But I don't want to divert from your topic today because it is very important. And I'm glad that the Prime Minister had his press conference after the amount of cussing and abusing and walking up in front of him and showing off. He exhibited a statesman, a gentleman, and he just played with him cool. But what they had expected that he was going to get up and swoop his teeth and walk out, and then they were like a motor say. But his convention coming up, and what never been spelled out yesterday, the whole world will hear it. This is the last thing I'm going to say and I'm going. Many persons in the world cannot see the signing on a paper, but the whole world can hear verbally what is being said. That is, you need to play a lot of these sound bites. Let the whole world hear who said this and who said that. You need to play them. So please take back up the ball and play those things. That is good night. I would not try to come back because time is gone. But Thursday, next Monday, I will tell you what I have to say about Mr. Ramgoat DJ. Thank you very much. I don't know what you're doing, but I will tell the whole world Monday what I know is illegal, what he's doing. Thank you, Patches.
I'll take this one. I'll take it from my end. Could you hold yours? Please, I'll take this one. I'll call you live. Hello, caller. Yes,
brother Patches. You could hear me?
Yes, you're live.
You could hear me?
Yes,
you could hear me?
Yes, you're loud and clear, sir.
Okay, yes. Greetings, brother. Rascalungi.
Greetings, my brother.
You see what I said Monday night, right? About the whole colonial structure. You said we was making a point that we are sovereign nation. We are not a sovereign nation. And that's what a lot of people do not understand. She made the point about the citizen by investment program. These countries want to come at our investment program. They are planning about passing laws in their parliament. You understand? And a lot of things that we don't understand is that our economy is tight into the metropolitan country. They keep sucking us. Because that's the way how the colonial structure is set. Okay? I want to read something here so our people could understand what is really happening, right? Like I'm saying, this system that we have is not our own, and our people do not understand it. Universal suffrage, despite the various challenges, the the new government, the new conservative government, Secretary of State James Griffith informed Governor Blackburn that he had proven principles, certain constitutional changes that were to be put before the next election. This is 1953. Universal suffrage was to be introduced, subject to a person to sign his or own. The property qualification for candidate was to be abolished. The deposit of $96 was to be retained. The proposal also attempted widen representation in the legislature. The division of presidency into electoral district. The Secretary of State also proposed to concede an elected majority in the legislative council, but not in the executive. Committee system was to A committee system was to introduce with the chair of the three committees to be held by the elected members. Emptying disappointment was sure when service went obvious that the ministerial system was not a part of the new constitution. The Secretary of State explained that the committee system would create conditions which will lead to the development of such a system in the presidency's country. In particular, it will be the chairman of the committee, meetings of the executive and legislative council, state and explain the work of the department with which they are concerned and to associate themselves with the work of the administration. Now listen this. By this apprenticeship, the colonial office was making sure that the education of local politicians was completed along British line. And that they look to Westminster as their man. This would ensure that Britain's influence would continue long after the inevitable losing imperial time. I need that to show our people. You understand? The system that we are operating on is not our own. We need to reconstruct an African system that could benefit the masses of our people. You know, so when we say we were talking about the one to shut down come at the CBI. That's exactly what they want to do, because they want to keep us impoverished. So I'm saying that we as a people we got to look at what is actually taking place in the world. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying to our people at this particular juncture in our development that we have to look at things that will benefit our people, what is in the interest of our people. And not only here in the Federation, but everywhere we are in the world. We have to link up as a people. You understand? These people don't want to see us move forward. They want to keep sucking our blood. Look at COVID-19. COVID-19 was a result of the collapse of capitalism globally. So what I'm saying to our people, that's the reason why COVID-19 came. And this is because the capitalist system imploded on itself. So in order to reset it now, that's why COVID-19 was thrust upon us. So I'm saying to our people, I'm putting a call out there, Brother Patrick, we need a national reasoning on where we go from here. We need everybody to come together to reason out this thing so that we can set our house in order. You want to say something?
I was getting your attention to the clock, because you've charged for a long time. Just wrap for me. Just wrap up your conversation in a few seconds, please, because I have some other calls.
You want to wrap it up?
Please, yes.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. This is my brother. I'm making an appeal to our people. I'm a member of the African Consciousness Movement. I'm saying we need a national reason, a national discussion. that where the federation go from here. Everybody should be included in terms of presenting the ideas. We have to come up with ideas that will benefit the masses of people. We have to be on one page. This spam, Labour, PLP, NRP, this thing that done with, we have to have a national position in terms of moving our people forward. We have to be on one page, my brother. And all I'm saying, we have the liberation manifesto, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And today is Thursday night. So all I'm saying to our people, please, we got to stop this bickering, victimizing one another. One love, my brother. All I'm saying to you is that African liberation, what Granny said, African liberation is the only solution to all the pollution. I'm calling for unification of all people in the federation and globally. Give thanks, one love.
Thanks, my brother, as well. I want us to just keep an eye on the time, my people. Again, we have two extra numbers, 663, 6672. When you call that number, I put you on hold. Please hold, because we can't have callers speaking simultaneously. But if you're holding for me, I'll take one from ZIZ. We go to your line. Yes, caller.
Hey, good night, sir.
Good night, sir.
Yeah. I called to make an input. I am a citizen of this country, and I've been listening all the time from the parties of the politicians, etc. Now, everybody will recognize me as someone that does make slogan with snake in the grass. If the next election and Dr. Timothy Harris as the leader of PLP, Mark Brantley as the leader of NRP, and Sean Richards as the leader of PAM, included and Dr. Andrew, yes. Sorry for that. Yeah. Now let's assume that these 4 leaders win their seats. Will it be a court matter to see who will be the Prime Minister? Will it boil down to who have the most votes? Because I am hearing nobody talking about these things at all. I was just hearing about tree turn and etc. But if Dr. Timothy end up with the most votes out of the 4 of them, I only assuming, won't he be the Prime Minister for a 3rd time?
Well, if he commands the majority of the votes.
Well, this is what I'm asking.
They are representatives. But that is left to the Governor General.
Right. So this is what I'm asking. So then I wouldn't see a reason why Dr. Harris wouldn't be having a 3rd term, because I is one who believes that he will come out with the most votes. That's how I look at it. That's my view. Have a good night. Thanks.
I'll take this one from my end. Caller, thank you for holding live, caller. Yes, you're live. Yes, you're live.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
I'd like to ask you 2 questions. One, will the overseas voters be able to go home to vote?
Overseas voters go home and vote. Once you're on the voters register of voters, no one can stop you from voting.
Okay, my next question. Are you a PAM or a PLP? I want to know. So who I should vote for?
I'm a unity.
There's the party for unity.
I'm alive with them.
Are you a PAM or PLP?
We pass PAM, we pass PLP, we pass CCM, we pass Labour, we pass NRP. People are talking unity.
Come on, Patches. You come on, Patches. I'm not a fool. Either you're a PAM or you're a PLP. There's nothing on the thing that says.
That's the question I answered you, caller.
Is there a party that says unity party?
You asked me what I am. I say I'm a stickler for unity.
You vote, okay. In the last election, people voted for you as a plan.
Well, I promoted unity, but I ran on a PAM ticket. Yes.
Are you running in next election?
Well, people consider me worthy to represent them. I will make myself available.
Okay, that's all, man, my brother. I want to vote for you.
Well, I'll thank you in advance. So
I live in Burra, my family's in Burra.
Okay.
So I need to know if I should get my folks to vote for PAM or unity or PLP.
Okay, my brother.
So what is it? Are you PAM or PLP?
PAM has already listed their candidates, so I mean, I can. PAM won't run two candidates.
Okay, good. I got you, brother.
Right?
I got you.
Thank you very much, man. I'll take mine as well, Theo. Caller. Okay, I've lost that caller. But Theo, I go to ZIZ, then I'll take yours, caller. Yes, caller, you're live.
Hello?
Yes, you're live. You're live, my brother.
Mr. Patrick, good night.
Good night, the bellman.
So what are you doing with your brother?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Well, the place is cool. And so what happened, President, I'm here by the grace of God. But the same situation here, I am not here to really, I depending on God and God alone. Only one man who really tell you what will happen to 2025. The Bible talks about filthy lucre. The Bible talks about filthy lucre. The Bible talks about where we strive and envy, they're going to be confusion, Mr. You understand what I'm saying? You need honest man to run the ship. And I'm telling you now, that man who could be in our government. And because the man holding on the oath, there's actually the man to look after the poor people, and God put them there to look after the poor people. So let it go ahead. Believe this, you could be poor people. You could have set the money and coming back before 6 months time. You're coming back for next night. But only Nevis one to support it. Whatever I'm saying to people bigger than say Nevis. No man got no concern, no concern whatsoever. I listen to the man, and the man no got no concern. He all for himself. And so he look like the man there. All for himself. And he boasting, We start from 9. But who tell him he must be a God? But who tell him he's going to be the next election? People not done their stupidness there. The president ain't going to further than the end. Just so you have a pleasant night.
Have a pleasant night. Well, I'll take one from my end, Theo. Let's go back to the lines. Call it.
Hello?
Hello.
You are live, my dear brother.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody in Radioland. And good evening, servant, former minister, now ambassador, Ian Practice Libert. Man, how are you doing tonight? And you better be right now and tell me how you are feeling. These are most interesting times indeed. How are you feeling?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself? Very peaceful. Yourself?
You're peaceful? You're peaceful?
Yes, I am. Peace with my God.
I am.
Myself. Not peace with the world.
Good. I am conflicted tonight. You always lifted my spirits before. I don't know if you noticed how much time you took trying to defend the independence.
Yeah, hello?
Who is this?
Yeah, I was trying to get on the program, man. You can call direct like this or what?
This is my personal line. Yes, my brother. I'm listening.
Thank you. I heard you spoke about a minister. I was listening to it. It's a rhetorical question. Because you were there. Of course you would remember. Well, the public acted swiftly and enthusiastically by tossing a brick through his mouth. Until now, the ill-fated Eugene Hamilton. If you listen to him carefully, his speech is still versely affected. I reflect on the passage of scripture that says accept the judgment of God. Or because the judgment of God is not executed speedily, the love of many shall wax cold. It's a perilous time in we live and to me,
okay.
Ambassador, it seems as though we are never galvanized into action.
Okay.
Unless the relationship between cause and effect is
Evidence, period, quickly. I hope you would agree.
Yes, I got you loud and clear, my brother.
Excuse me?
I got you loud and clear. I'm just trying to get some other calls. I always like to hear you.
Can I end?
Yes, please.
Can I end?
Yes, please do.
By saying Pam and CCM have unseized their claws by exposing their cloven hooks. It's past speculation now that the panorama of multi-party colossal infighting for money and power trotted out platform before the collective eyes of a bewildered and gasping nation. Now I said, listen, entire lecture in constitutional law and its overacting supremacy by you, who I love to listen only to learn. At the end, the Charlestown Accord that I celebrated with gusto and relish was a fact. The gain upon the uninformed and unsuspecting majority who are always all too willing to be duped.
Help me with screen. Help me with screen. Go ahead, callers. Go ahead. I did. The caller, I thank you for holding, caller. You're live. Yes, caller.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, caller. You're live. Yes, caller. You're live.
Touches. Good night, touches. Touches, good night.
Did they call?
You hear me? Yes. Touches, good night. Could you hear me? Yes.
Oh, you live.
Okay, touches. You could hear me? Touches, good night. Well, I want to say it tonight, right? That it's fair for all. I don't think that's the problem. I more believe that this is something to do with prime ministership, because a lot of people don't force it up in head. Force it up in Mark head. He's supposed to be the next prime minister, and he got that in head. So this fear is just a password. Because I made to understand 2020, you were waiting till Labour win to join with Labour. So you don't have PAM, not a PLP. Mark Dante is a sharp boy. He like nice things. He don't buy, a lady tell me he don't go New York and buy one pair socks, you see me, so $450, okay? Mark Dante is a sharp man, he like nice things and he like to dress. So he want the prime ministership. He say not no free share. If you want to see a failure, we put the treasure in the middle of the ocean and who swim with it first. And then he can get his fair share. Mark Dante need to cool out because he was planning to join with Labour. So you want to be no Sean and no PLP. And good night to my friend named Nevis. Practice to you. Bye, practice. Practice.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Wait, let me say something too. And he has some people, right? Let me tell them, the power lie in the hands of the people. The people, if everybody has to run a full slate, everybody don't go to separate ways. Please, I stop putting things on Facebook and cutting people. It's not right. He had a power and a Pam, and up to now, Pam supported still voting Labour because of that. So everybody don't go to separate ways. I stop putting on Facebook and cutting people. People wear orange all and all of us, and yellow. People wear whatever they want, they vote wherever they want. Everybody going to separate, but I need to stop it. And anybody cuss me and cuss them back, and if I don't like me, like I don't go where I want, I do what I want, I say what I want, and I vote what I want. That is good night. See you. You don't like me near like I, you know. Bye.
Thank you very much, my straight talk family. Having some difficulties here, but let's go back to the lines. Call you live.
Good evening, Honorable Patrick Liebert.
My brother.
Well, I got to get in. Now, Patrick, what you see going on here is greed. It's nothing but greed and ungratefulness. You see, when there was in the foxhole, they walk up and down and pull the Prime Minister with them to get them out of the hole. Now they're out of the hole, and the good treatment to the Prime Minister rendered to them, they come greedy. So they want to get the whole hog now. But by the luck of God, I think what the Prime Minister should do, run on his slate, let he drop his stuff. You understand me? Let us go about the business. I think there is no mending up in this. There is nothing to mend up. Nothing at all there to mend up. You understand me? It don't reach a little bit too far. When I see the Prime Minister being cursed in front of all of those diplomats and sounding the who just head sink it, I say, oh, shame of them. You can't believe Kitchen and Nevis behave like that. You understand me? And some of them, they're just doing like the foolish. You understand me? But God is good. PM, take the mantle into your hand, run your slate, and when you drop your stuff, it's not the end of the world. You're still a young man, and you're a God-blessed man, and a beautiful person. You see, when you got the landlord DJ going up and down the place and trying to crucify you patches, Sessing Rock, Manners, Mr. Politics, and Mr. Culture, you understand me? And talking, and none of them, as leaders, come to him and say, look, done with this ignorance. All over the world, you're hearing a lot of ignorance, this man talking. You understand me? And the fact remains, them things what he's getting and selling, it come from Haiti, little Haiti in Florida. You understand me? But custom, all you need to do all your work. Do all your work. So you could get more money to send to Nevis. Okay? Who all want money. And get more money to build more houses. Custom, just do your work. Don't let nothing come to the street no more. Okay? God bless you, Patrick. God bless my Prime Minister. And God bless our nation. With one hand.
Thank you very much. Theo, my call this time. Calling you live. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Yes, you could cut me off after a minute and a half. But I'm going to finish what I have to say because you know me. When I was the pitching ball beside you, I'm talking about this document that is said to be of no effect, rather, that I witnessed and cherish the Honorable Mark Manson by his own admission crafted this magnificent document. And he's said to be a lawyer of the highest caliber. Take Neil. Ulterior motive and undeclared intentions. And when those warped expectations won't realize, stuck by a man filling his pocket while denying them the oath, insufferable anger and frustration was the result. Hence the inordinate expression of their unholy and unwholesome sentiments to our national shame. A shame of team unity. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, so you're live.
Hello?
You're live.
I just want to close by saying, this one is going to hurt you in your stomach, and I love you, and I hate to say it, but what better penalty and to replace them with Dr. Drew and his novel crew, thereby fulfilling the scripture that it gets ready. The Lord's servant, ambassador, Patches Liebert, your legacy is important to me. So I urge you, while the door of probation still lingers ajar, get your house in order. Judgment is coming. To God be the glory. Have a great evening. God bless you and thank you for hearing me.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. I'll take about 2 or 3 more calls. Theo, I'll go to your line. Call you live. Hello, call. Caller, you live. Yes, caller, you live.
Yeah, Patrick, good night. Everyone.
I'm peaceful, man. Yourself?
Okay. I still listen to all very much. I can't call him come down and I can't go in. But I can just go in. I got some problem on your Nevis. You got a man on your take me out and I tell you for me out. Put me down with children. Put me down with skinny G me out. And now the skinny to join them. And the weekend down there. They on the back of the back in me out, went in me out. Tell them how big the chi and pull it down in me out. Let's let the garbage in me out. So right now, I can't see the 4 corner in the yard. I went to my car game, he told me out anything. He went down here and came out anything. From his own father yard. See, so right now, I went to building board law, police, all kind of body, me can't get justice. So me not get justice in this federation. So if you justice in this federation, please tell me, and please tell me the people who could get to who get real justice in the sight of God. About the 4 corner in the yard. This is a university with WB. And I work with my iniquity. Bless up and tell you. Let me hear what I say about the justice. You can justice in this federation of everybody. Bless up and tell you call you again.
Brother, I am just winding down and having some technical difficulties here. No fault of yours. I've lost my actual screen, but I know that you're still hearing me, my Straight Talk family. Perhaps one more call. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, how are you, man? Good evening. How are you?
I'm peaceful. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, man. All I want to say tonight is that, wherever there's money, there's corruption. And corruption is now all in our families. And, down in St. Nevis, there's a lot of money flowing today. And the scribbling and the scrabbling that's going on right now, to me, it all seems about is about power. And it's about getting to that money. Nobody want to do the real deal stuff, The transparency and all the other stuff that this community said it was going to run on, they don't want to stamp out the corruption. They don't want to go after what the real deal is supposed to be going after. For me, when you see wrong, you're supposed to speak up against it and stand firm. People like to do each other wrong, and when they're being called out, they don't like it. You know what I'm saying? A bully like to just pick on the weak, but when you show people that you can stand on your own and you can be strong and you can stand up against corruption and stand up against wrongdoing and evil and all of the above. So Some people they like to watch when other people got their stuff, and they don't know how these people get their things, and they don't want to work, but yet still they want to rob a man their money, and they want to take a money from a man that's weak. You know what I'm saying? And these are the type of things that's going on in this world right now. St. Kitts and Nevis is no exception, and the people in them there, they're all corrupted, bro. The place is corrupted. It's in the politicians, and now it's coming into the families. The families there now is getting corrupted as well. You know, some people need to just leave a man. When you see a man got their money and they work hard for it, you know what I'm saying? You know, don't steal and don't rob from somebody who's defenseless. You know, and those persons that's out there doing that to people, I wish them the best. But they got a lot up above that's going to strike them down in the end. And that's all what I got to say tonight, man. Thanks a lot.
Are we going to end it tonight? I'm out of time. My time is done, and I've got to run. My Straight Dog family, I want to thank all of... I first of all should thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, and as always, I want to thank you, the many callers, and you, the many listeners. We looked at tonight what we call the Charlestown Accord. And as a point of departure, we cited the historic inequalities in distribution and sharing of national resources between the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We also looked at the constitutional requirements, and we looked at the finance requirements in terms of how things work in government, the consolidated fund. We also looked at the opportunities that we do have, and we look to the future. As for many decades, our economy has been under attack from climate change, and more recently by the COVID-19 pandemic that has brought the entire world to a screeching halt. As we speak, the international community is tottering on the brink of a third world war, God forbid. And every country near and far are calling for leadership they can count on. That's my story for the night, my Straight Dog family, because my time is done and I gotta run. I want to thank you, and I want you to have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you must believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Dog family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday.